Our story will begin with Bardock battered and bruised. He's fighting through the soldiers of Frieza's army, and he was going to make his final stand against Frieza. As remember, all the other Saiyans never showed up because they thought he was joking. And at this point, Bardock had nothing to lose. He saw the vision of his son, and he sent his son away, and he lost all his comrades to Dodoria. So he was going to make his final stand against Frieza, and he was willing to die to change the future. That's a very simple thing. Well, he charges in against all the Frieza soldiers, battling his way through them all until he was able to get past them, and then Frieza comes out of the ship, not impressed looking. Bardock then says his speech, very similar to what he says in the Bardock episode, and then he charges his final attack in his hand. And he throws with everything he has, as Frieza just puts one finger up, and a ginormous supernova forms as Bardock used all of his power, and he throws the attack. But it was easily engulfed by the massive power and supernova that Frieza possessed. As Frieza laughed and flicked his finger forward, it hits Bardock, and everything exploded everywhere. Bardock was ready to give up and accept his fate. Flashbacks of his wife Jin, and Goku and Raditz, and his pride as a Saiyan, and more, and his fallen comrades, sends him over the edge. As he explodes in a golden aura, the attack was destroyed. Frieza didn't understand what was going on. None of the soldiers did, as Bardock stands, the Super Saiyan of Legends. Now, keep in mind, Bardock had a power level of around 10,000 in this, so adding the 50 times boost, it'll give him a total power level of around 500,000. He is still weaker than First Form Frieza, as he was 530,000, so this can go two possible ways. So, either one, Bardock fights Frieza and he loses because Frieza can go into his second form. Or the second option, he turns Super Saiyan and pushes his Supernova with his own attack, and both of them combined hitting Frieza, who wasn't prepared for it, so it would realistically kill him. So for plot reasons and to keep the story going, we can assume the second option will happen. So Bardock was able to push the attack and finish off Frieza, vaporizing him. As then, Bardock, looking at his newfound power, passed out. The power of the Super Saiyan drained all the energy from him, and he fell down to planet Vegeta, but the Saiyans found him, and they brought him to a healing chamber. And now during this time, the Saiyans would easily find out that it was Bardock who killed Frieza in the attack. So there would be a lot of bickering that Bardock's legendary Super Saiyan, and Bardock was the one that finished Frieza. Now at this time, Raditz, I believe he was outside of the planet, and same with Vegeta and Nappa. So at this time, Vegeta would very much so be notified that your father is dead, King Vegeta, and Frieza was killed by a Super Saiyan. Obviously, Vegeta will be heading right back to planet Vegeta just to see this. Just number one, he's probably mad because, I mean, you know, he just, you know, he didn't have the chance to kill Frieza, and it wasn't him that did it, and he wasn't a Super Saiyan, and he's supposed to be royalty. You know how that would go. So what would happen next is, I believe that once when Bardock, you know, would be finished, he would wake up from the healing chamber, and the first thing first, he wants to see Guinea. So, and he noticed, when he woke up from the healing chamber, he has gotten much stronger from this near-death experience. And the new power boost, adding on his top power level. His top power level was around 10,000 plus, so considering it was a near-death Zenkai, and he fought Frieza, kind of, tanked his attack, and he boosted on Super Saiyan on top of that, this is a very safe thing that his power level could have potentially boosted. And by the way, don't, in the comment section, don't get pissed about power levels, because, I mean, come on now, it's a what if. Power levels are irrelevant after the Frieza saga. You just kind of be like scaling at that point. His power level would be around 50,000, because he fought against a very powerful opponent, and a Saiyan's adaptability to grow in power from near-death experiences depends on the power as they were beaten with. So 50,000 is around a 5 times boost that he's gotten. Now during this few-week period, the Saiyans would view Bardock as a hero, and I mean, he is the Super Saiyan after all, and he killed Frieza. Now during these weeks, Bardock would take a break and spend time with his wife Gine. They would talk about their son Kakarot, who left for Earth. Now, Bardock would remember his son's future and would say to leave him for his own journey. Which I think that Gine would be very resentful of that, because she's very protective of her sons. But I think if Bardock says you need to trust me and he explains the situation, then I think that Gine would understand it and let Goku grow on his own. But they would want to locate Raditz, since Raditz is already near there anyway. And then as the weeks go by, Bardock would then be training alone. He would probably want to learn of his Super Saiyan power, and he imagines if he can control it, he can stop any threat in his way. But it will take some time. The next few months passed. Vegeta arrived with Nappa. And Vegeta arrived, and obviously he was ready to claim his throne, because he was the next heir to the throne. Now, this can go two ways, is because Bardock could have already claimed the throne as king, since most of the Saiyans would want him to. He's the legendary Super Saiyan, his power has no rival. But considering how we've seen how much Bardock hates royalty, I don't think he probably would want to. He would probably just be left it alone, unless he had like no choice. Which, I mean, no Saiyan can tell him otherwise. I would assume the Saiyans would think that he's the only pick for their new king, but I think he would just deny it and probably just push it off, as he's never seen himself as a king. Now, at this point, Vegeta has arrived, and he claimed his title as king instantly, and orders to meet the so-called Super Saiyan. His pride was damaged, and that he wasn't the Super Saiyan, that Frieza didn't die by his hand, Bardock would probably not even show up. He didn't care about the prince's problems. So at this point, Vegeta would find him himself and demands how he turned into a Super Saiyan, because he wants the power for himself. Because if Bardock can do it, Vegeta can do it, right? Bardock wouldn't honestly have a true answer, so he wouldn't really tell him. It just happened. He just remembers awakening a power. As Vegeta, anger inside of him says he's a low-class Saiyan, and he would go on and attack Vegeta. Power level at this point for Vegeta, since he was still a kid at that time, was around 12,000, is from what we've seen. Bardock's current power level after intense months of training would probably go from 50,000 to 65,000. Since remember, he's training very intensely and getting healed, which is kind of like a low ball for a couple months of training with Super Saiyan. So Vegeta, as you may all know, absolutely has zero chance of defeating Bardock. But Vegeta would honestly put up a good fight. He would fight because that's what they do for his age. But Bardock wouldn't, and he would soon get bored and annoyed. But then, I feel like Bardock would then prove his point, as he would show Vegeta his Super Saiyan power. As he charges, his hair rises, his muscles grow a little, and his eyes turn a teal blue as he yells, transforming into the Super Saiyan. Now keep in mind, the Super Saiyan transformation for Bardock is still very new, so he can tap into it, just it's a little bit difficult, and he cannot hold the form for very long, as it makes him very, very angry, and it messes with his emotions. But he's starting to get there. And if he's anything like Goku, I think he would have a natural talent of learning, and I think that since he already felt the power, I think that he can slowly start to learn it at this point. But it's not something that he can turn off and on, and, you know, he only uses it for, like, final issues. Now, at this point, remember when I said that his power level is 65,000, so turning into a Super Saiyan, we're getting some numbers, his power is 50 times, his power level would be around 3.25 million. So at this point, he'd just one-shot Vegeta, knocking him out cold. Or he might not even need to, because Vegeta all the Saiyan Scouters would break. But somewhere in a deep space, King Cold would be relaxing in his chair as he heard of his son's death, of a Saiyan. And he was not happy about that. How dare his family's legacy and his family's empire be dishonored and such disgust that Frieza would lose to a filthy monkey? This is not going to go. King Cold was preparing his army and growing up his empire so he can go to planet Vegeta himself and find the so-called Super Saiyan of legend and kill him himself. King Cold would soon arrive, as the time has come to destroy all the Saiyans. He would land and send all of his men right to the Saiyans, but he forgets this time that the Saiyans have been training very hard, preparing this year. To make it short, the average Saiyan fighter used to be around 1,500 to 3,000. Now their power would easily be 6,000 to the Saiyan elites being 20,000. At this time, the strongest Saiyan in that army was Vegeta, having a deep motivation to become the Super Saiyan, the ancient power. And losing at the hands of Bardock, and losing his chance at defeating Frieza, and losing his title, has pushed him to train harder than he has ever trained in his entire life. His power level has skyrocketed from 12,000 to 45,000. And Nappa being 28,000 himself, as he would want to keep up with Vegeta, having a training partner, since Vegeta would not train with anybody else, being his prideful self. The Saiyans were all prepared, and set the plan that Bardock has made. They will fight the soldiers head on, and if things goes too sour, they will use the artificial moons that the elite Saiyans have learned for all of them to be able to turn into a Great Ape, giving them a 10 times boost in power to give them the edge in battle. As a backup, the fight would be on the Saiyans. Easily dispatch of King Cold's men, one by one, as the average King Cold men had a power level from 250 to around 1,000. They would have no chance against the thousands and thousands and thousands of Saiyans prepared for this moment. King Cold would watch on, seeing his men getting swatted like flies left and right. His scowl on his face would only grow more, as he has had enough of this. He would do it himself. If this is not bringing the Super Saiyan out, he will go out there himself and end the whole species, and then it will bring him out. He would then get out of his chair and will fight them himself. As then it cuts, King Cold would lay waste to the Saiyans, one after the other. His power level was insane. They've never seen nothing like it before. Although King Cold's power isn't truly known in the show and anywhere, he is weaker than suppressed final form Frieza. So I'm going to give his power level around 50 million, as the Saiyans are running out of options. Suddenly, Bardock has arrived, coming out of his pod, prepared to fight King Cold. Now, Bardock has gotten much stronger now. From training with Nail to having the Namekians heal him, his power level is 1.6 million. With the Guru potential unlocking and Nail as a training partner with the healing from the Namekians, he was a force to be reckoned with. And he learned to control his Super Saiyan power, to where it was almost mastered to him. It never drained his energy no more, and he can casually be in it if he wishes. As they prepare to clash, going back and forth, King Cold having the upper hand. As they split apart, he demands that Bardock show the Super Saiyan his son lost to. As Bardock just lets out a smirk, if that's what the soul King Cold wants, he will do for him. His hair rises and he transforms, his power pushing King Cold back, as he was in shock from it. All the Saiyans were watching as their scouters have broken. Bardock is now the Super Saiyan once again. His power level as a Super Saiyan would be 80 million, as then him and King Cold would clash once again. As with Bardock's experience and his power level being much higher, King Cold would not really have much of a chance, and it would be very one-sided. And he was nearly killed. Bardock lays above him as King Cold tries everything in his book. King Cold cannot beat him with brute force. He tries to manipulate him, maybe work out a deal, saying that he will leave and never return, and he'll leave his army out of that entire sector of the universe. But Bardock wouldn't hear it. Bardock doesn't have time for scum like King Cold. He dare come to his home and hurt his people, and he's not going to survive. But then, just before he was going to kill King Cold, a voice speaks to let his father go. As Bardock turned, it was none other than Cooler. Bardock would be in shock, seeing Cooler there. King Cold at this point would be too injured to move or attack, as Cooler would stare him down, as he was impressed by the Super Saiyan. His power. Cooler, at this point, his power level was around 80 million, and Cooler stated himself that his brother was stronger than him. As then they clash, going back and forth, pretty much exactly even in power, as Bardock's Super Saiyan aura flares and explodes as he grabs Cooler's tail, throwing him away, shooting a ki blast, hitting Cooler through a mountain. As they then jump and stand far away from each other, Cooler smirks and then he admits, Bardock's power truly is amazing. He can see how his little brother had lost and had so much trouble, and same with his father. But he said that he has a surprise in store. He tells Bardock that he has a special power he was going to use on his brother, and then he says that he will have the honor of seeing his 5th transformation, the first. As he screams, as Cooler starts growing in size, spikes start growing out of the sides of his elbows and on his legs, and then his head forms into a weird shape with a mask. Cooler has now turned into his 5th form. Now we do not know of his power level past this, but I'm putting it at around 320 million, as Bardock has no chance here. He fights with everything that he has, giving all he could to Cooler, but it was no use. It was a very one-sided battle, and Cooler almost tortures him, almost beating him near death because of his brother's death and his father nearly being killed. But during this time, as Cooler gives his little speech to the Super Saiyan, saying that he is not the legend that he thought he was, his guard was down, as then Vegeta shoots a ki blast and hits Cooler right in the face when he wasn't paying attention, momentarily stunning and blinding him for a short time. As they move Bardock away, he explains weakly that the Namekians say of a way to heal with ki. The issue is that Bardock's power was so high, it would be very difficult to do so. So, dozens and dozens of Saiyans go around and they all hold their hands out and they give him his ki. And they were able to heal him just in time, as Cooler was then just back to normal and he had Vegeta held by the throat, about to kill him. Then suddenly, Bardock's power level spikes as he was back in Super Saiyan and he kicked Cooler away, saving Vegeta. Now, Vegeta says, "Why did you help me?" And the Bardock says to stand down. Now, at this point, Bardock's power level would have risen a lot from a near-death Zenkai and also the combined ki of the Saiyans that has just given him their energy. His power level will go from 80 million to now 200 million in his Super Saiyan form. As then he arrived and he fights Cooler for round 2. And he fares much better this time, knowing how the Frieza family fights and having experience, but the power gap is still there and Cooler was still too strong for him. In the end, as he stood there in Super Saiyan on the ground, he was angry. He failed his promise. He would never be weak, and he failed his people. What else could he do? He could not match Cooler's power no matter what he tries. And most of the Saiyans were all defeated and exhausted and tired from fighting King Cold's army and Cooler's army. What else is Bardock to do? Now at this point, Cooler then now has Gine beaten, holding her in his arm, as Bardock would then snap, seeing his wife hurt, and it was his fault. Bardock would snap. He screamed as the ground shakes, and he hits the ground. As he screams even more, his hair gets more spiky, and sparks of electricity flare around him as Cooler dropped Gine, shocked how his Saiyan is still standing. And what is his power that he's sensing? And what is happening to him? As Bardock then stands there as a Super Saiyan 2, full of pure rage. His power level at this point would be around 400 million plus. As he was not playing games, he wastes zero time as he tells Cooler he will die just like the rest of his kind, and he appears and punches Cooler nearly through him, and the second punch right across his face broke his mask as Cooler coughs up blood on the ground and anger swelled, as Cooler then, as his last ditch effort, is going to destroy the planet themselves and the Super Saiyan. He jumps into the air, charging a supernova as he throws it. Now mind you, Cooler was stated that he can draw energy much faster than his brother, so this can throw Bardock off guard. Bardock was able to catch it, but he was struggling as he was being pushed into the planet slowly by the attack. Cooler was laughing as he didn't think that there was no way that Bardock can overpower this. But Bardock, using all the power that he has with this newfound power, uses a massive ki blast to push the ball right into Cooler with both attacks, sending him into a star as Cooler was vaporized. And then, with this final power, Bardock shoots all that he has left into the spaceship, killing King Cold as he was in the healing chamber, as Cooler was no more and King Cold was no more. And then finally, he powers down and passes out, as all the Saiyans cheer on that they were now truly free. It has been 3 years since the events of King Cold and Cooler, and Bardock, the king of the Saiyans, wants to change the way Saiyans are. They will now be protectors and peaceful fighters, fighting for peace, so a monster like Frieza would never happen again. The Saiyans quickly were shipped out to hunt down the remaining Frieza and King Cold and Cooler Empire, taking their squadrons of the universe, as Bardock leaves Tora on the east part of the universe with thousands of Saiyans for another Saiyan Empire of that squadron, as Bardock has given the north to Raditz, the south to Vegeta, then the west for Fasha. To the rulers of that planet will be their own planet to bring peace in both. As Bardock was now more hidden, he never liked the role, as he was secretly the ruler of the Saiyan Empire. He just doesn't want all that attention on him. But Gine would stay along his side, as Bardock strived to make the universe a better place for all. But most think there was only kings and queens for the parts of the universe, as nobody knew really about Bardock any. That's how secretive Bardock has become. He's just disappeared to normal people. But the only people who truly know where he is are high elite Saiyans and the kings and queen, Vegeta and such. His only concern was Vegeta, as he kept tabs on all of them. Vegeta has a high pride and ego, makes him a little bit dangerous, but with Frieza gone and himself free, Vegeta has calmed down a little. At this time, power level wise, I will just put each ruler for each power level that they are. Base. Bardock's base is around 60 million. Fasha is around 10 million. Tora is around 14. Raditz is around 5 to 6 million. And Vegeta is around 27 million to 30. Now, each of them all have Super Saiyan, as Bardock helped them all achieve it, because Bardock wants to make sure that they can take down any threat that is in their way. Now, Bardock could easily help them, as it's been 3 years, and Bardock has now at this point mastered Super Saiyan and has a really good mastery of Super Saiyan 2 at this point, training in it all the time. Now, at this point, Bardock was trying to see if there was something even past his current form. Was there something past Super Saiyan 2? As he tried training, which didn't really change anything, he thought about maybe his Great Ape form, as it is stated to be the potential of a Saiyan's greatest power. He already can't control it. Maybe he should try going Super Saiyan on top of the Great Ape to see what happens, if that is possible. Since Bardock loved to explore and learn all that he can, anything to help him, he will do. That is something for later though. As a small ship lands, a odd-looking person walks up to him, explaining himself as Jacko, an elite galactic patrol member. As Bardock has heard of them before, Jacko sends to pay respect from the Galactic Patrol for what the Saiyans are doing and for him stopping Frieza and Major Thor on their side. He came to Bardock for some help. They found that a being named Bojack has been causing massive issues, and his power is that higher than even Cooler. Was he and his whole squad with him, as Bardock would think it through. He will choose to help them as he leaves with them. He would soon arrive at the thriving planet now laid waste and ruin. As Jacko would comment, "They just got done picking this planet, such savages." Bardock can sense the group and their energies are extremely high. He knows this would be a major problem. As Bardock would jump out of the ship, Jacko comically would stay back, making excuses as he was terrified. Bardock would just brush it off and tell him to stay here. As Bardock would soon find Bojack's group, they just laugh at him, saying that a Saiyan should not even be here. But they have heard of him. Bojack sends his goons after Bardock, as he fights them one-on-one. They prove very troublesome, very troublesome. As Bardock was soon very much overwhelmed, Bardock would then have no choice but to turn into Super Saiyan. He was able to then defeat 2 of them. But last was Bojack and Zangaya. As Bardock having tired of this, he would then charge, bursting into Super Saiyan 2. Bojack just smirked. He was then on the fight, as Bardock fares actually pretty well, until Bojack explains he was holding back his entire time. His true power lay dormant, as then Bojack charges up. His muscles grow longer and the top of his jacket was ripped off. His power was extremely high. As they fight, Bardock would have 0 chance in this fight. But now at this time, what would happen is Bardock would then be on the ground, laid defeated. There's no way that he can defeat Bojack now at full power. Right before Bojack was going to finish him off, Bardock then saw Vegeta saving his life. As Vegeta heard of Bardock leaving to go fight these Bojack issue, as Vegeta has heard about them before, there's no way that Vegeta's going to turn this down and let Bardock have all the fun for himself. As Vegeta would then burst into Super Saiyan, he would very cocky-wise go and fight Bojack. But everybody knows how this would go. Vegeta easily gets dispatched and defeated. As Bardock has 1 more idea. And this might be a long shot, as he was now in his base form. He needs to try it, as he has nothing to lose, because there's no other way to defeat him. Bardock would then form an artificial moon as Vegeta was being demolished by Bojack, being stomped on. Very similar to how Broly defeated on Goku in the first Broly movie. As then Bardock would throw the artificial moon, he would look at it, transforming into a Great Ape. As Bojack would then see this, wondering what this monster was, and then Bardock would then start having a golden aura surround him as he was turning, and Bardock became a golden Great Ape. Now, Bardock has already had control of the Great Ape form, because if you remember in GT, Goku never really used the Great Ape form, only when he was a kid, so he was completely crazy until Pan was able to calm him down, and then even Vegeta was out of control for just a tiny bit. He was then able to control it, as Vegeta has already trained in that form, he just hasn't used it in about 30 some years. But Bardock knows how to use this form, as it's still good to him. Bardock would then have full control, and then Bardock would now at this point know he has to push his limits, and Bardock would now start shrinking. Instantly shrinks down to his normal size. Bardock looks very different, and his power was terrifying. Bardock became a Super Saiyan 4. But to them in Vegeta, it's like a Super Saiyan 3 or something. They don't truly know what it was. Not even Bardock knew what this was. But Bardock knew that this made his Super Saiyan 2 look like a joke. In terms of multipliers, we can never truly know how powerful Super Saiyan 4 is, but we can just go off of a limb and say that Super Saiyan 4 is at least 10 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3, putting the multiplier to around 4,000. So, if you add the multiplier with Bardock's power level, which is around 50 to 60 million, I'm gonna go off the limit, say 60 million, then that would give him a power level of around 240 billion. He's almost around very early Majin Buu or late Cell Saga level at this point. Bardock would then look at Bojack, and he would look at this power. Bardock would then smirk, as the fun was now just beginning. Bardock was gonna, of course, keep Bojack alive for a little bit, as he could at this point kill him in one blast if he truly wanted to. Bardock wants to enjoy, and Bardock also wants to explore what this is. As Bardock would say himself, Bardock doesn't even know his own strength anymore. Bojack would then not know what it is. He would think it's just some silly furry form. He would then charge a powerful attack and throw it at Bardock, as it would hit Bardock head on, creating a massive crater. Bardock would just stand there with no damage, not even flinching. As then Bardock would appear suddenly right in front of Bojack and deliver a powerful gut punch, making Bojack spit saliva and blood everywhere. And then he would kick him away, and then he would kneel down to Vegeta and say if he's alright. As Vegeta, with anger in him, would then see that Bardock saying, "What the hell have you become?" And Bardock is like, "I do believe that this is maybe the next level. I don't know what this is." Now, obviously, Vegeta would be a bit pissed because he thought that he was starting to catch up to Bardock, and then bam, Bardock just shoots another level past him. Very annoying. But Vegeta swallows his pride, as that's not worrisome right now. Bojack is the worry. Now, Bojack at this point would then send Zengaya right after Bardock, but Zengaya would then run away, because there's no defeating him. As Bojack would then shoot a blast to kill Zengaya, Bardock would then smack it away with ease, telling her to just get out of here, but she would obviously just hide a little bit away, watching in shock. As then, Bojack would then charge up a final attack, Bardock shooting a massive beam. Bardock would walk through the beam, like it's not even phasing him, like he's walking through normal. He would then punch right through Bojack's stomach, and then explode a ki blast inside of him, killing him, vaporizing him off the thin face of the earth. As Bardock would then appear next to Zengaya, she would be very terrified as how easily he defeated Bojack. Bardock would then tell her to leave and to never do evil deeds again. This is her only chance, as she would easily comply and then fly off in the spaceship. Now Bardock, at this point, would get Vegeta, and then they would take them back to Vegeta's planet. Basically, I guess Planet Vegeta is what he would probably call it. I don't know if the original Saiyan planet would be like Planet Bardock or something. I don't know. So imagine it's like Planet Vegeta 2 or something. Now, at this point, Vegeta would then be put in a healing chamber. Bardock would still be in Super Saiyan 4. He doesn't know how to change out of it. And remember, the stamina is extremely good on Super Saiyan 4. It's really difficult, but Bardock would then shortly afterwards drop out of the form, and he would be exhausted. He would then be put in the healing chamber as well, next to Vegeta, and then Bardock would sooner or later exit the healing chamber, and then he would head back to his own private planet with Gine. Bardock would then want to explore this power. As remember, once when I guess you get Super Saiyan 4, you can now naturally turn into it, because very similar to what happened with Goku in GT, he unlocked it, and then now he was kind of easily able to access it and transform into it. But Bardock, but I do think it would take some training to figure it out, which is what I think Bardock would do. Bardock assumes that this is like Super Saiyan 3, as maybe his theory was right, that this is Super Saiyan 3, but in reality, it's Super Saiyan 4. He skipped a level. So then, as peace was brought once again, Jacko would then give his regards to Bardock, shake his hand, and say that the Galactic Patrol might need to begin, and they might need to work together. Bardock would then comply, saying that Jacko was very brave today. And Jacko, of course, would want to take a picture with him, so then he can show that he hang out with a very powerful warrior, as we all know how Jacko is with his little camera. And then that is the end. What if Bardock turns Super Saiyan Part 3? I hope you guys enjoyed the next. So, the next chapter will be Bardock, after a time skip, meeting his son, as Goku is now a full-grown man. Now, if you guys want to know, Goku's story goes the exact same way, as none of the Saiyans went to that planet. The only thing that has really changed now is Raditz hasn't appeared, Goku will not be fighting no Frieza, no Ginyu Force, no nothing like that. He won't have his legendary battle with Vegeta yet, but Raditz would then be sent to the planet first to go get Goku, and then of course Gine and Bardock would want to go see their son. Our story last took off with Bardock sending Raditz to go see Goku. Soon after, Gine would follow and tag along. The meeting will go well between brothers, since remember, Raditz is a lot different now, nor does he care about planet takeover, so they would actually get along good. Raditz would even train with Goku for the passing months, increasing his power by a lot. So remember, Raditz is in the millions and no Super Saiyan. This will change the Dragon Ball story forever. The time passes and Gine would soon see her son, and it would be a heartfelt moment. As remember, she was very impressed by his power. As training with Raditz for several months, Goku would be at Captain Ginyu level. But Goku would not have Super Saiyan, and Piccolo would also be stronger as well, but then Bardock by himself would arrive and he would meet his son. It'll be very heartfelt, tears shed, as he has not seen his son after almost 20 years, as he's now a grown man. They would hug, and Goku nearly cries, as then he finally meets his father. Now they would go hang out, and Bardock would teach Goku and update him on everything that he knows, from what happened with Frieza to the Saiyans, and then bringing peace throughout the universe, and more. But Bardock was a very busy man, let alone he has a massive target on his back. Because of his role in the universe, Raditz would soon take his leave as well. As remember, Raditz is a king on his side of the universe, so he has to go back to his planet and go do his role. But Gine would probably stay behind for a while too. But Bardock would stay for a few years to teach Goku all that he knows, so Goku can protect himself and the planet that he's on. Now, a few years would pass and Goku has Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2, but no Super Saiyan 4, because Goku doesn't have a tail. And also, near the end of the few years, Gohan would even be a lot more stronger. As remember, Gine would kind of rub off on Chi-Chi, because they're kind of, they're like the same kind of wives. Remember, because that's what Saiyan's like. And also, since Gine would probably get on Chi-Chi's good side, plus Bardock would just say, we need to train him so nothing bad happens. I think that Chi-Chi would be a bit more lenient towards Gohan training a little bit more, but he still has to keep up his studies, as that is unbeatable to even touch. So, most of the story would play out. A lot. Well, the androids would appear. Remember, there's no Frieza saga. None of that would happen because Frieza's gone. So, the androids would appear. And the androids will be stronger than before. But, remember, all the leader Saiyans, you would have Raditz, Vegeta, Fasha, Taro, Bardock, Goku, Piccolo. They would all have high power levels, Super Saiyan 1, 2, and even Vegeta would even have Super Saiyan 4. Remember, Vegeta follows Bardock pretty closely, and then soon the other Saiyans would follow it. So most of the Saiyans do have Super Saiyan 4, as remember, they all know how to use the Great Ape form. So the androids would easily be defeated. Android 17 and 18, it's game over for him. Now, yes, Trunks is still coming from back in time to give Goku the heart medicine, because Goku would still die of the heart virus. Now remember, yes, Trunks is in here because Vegeta does go to Earth for the culture and to also train with Goku, as they do have a rival kind of thing, Spark. That's just Dragon Ball Z logic I'm just throwing in there because it's Goku and Vegeta. You cannot, no matter what if, have them not be rivals some way or another. But also, Vegeta's probably there for the food and to probably learn from Earth culture and technology. He would soon meet Bulma, and the rest is history. So, Cell would still be born as Imperfect Cell, but, as you all may remember, they now have all these Super Saiyan 4s. He would soon be found and then killed. So Cell's wiped off the Earth. Now, as the Buu saga, it would go mostly the same, if not easier, far easier. With Goku and the others so much stronger, they would easily kill Babidi and Dabura before Majin Buu was even created. So yes, the Supreme Kai would still meet them, so Supreme Kai's still there. He's the one that tells them all that happened. So he would take the egg or the chamber that Majin Buu is inside, that spiky ball thing, and he would take Buu away, locking him away forever. So he would thank him. Remember, so there's no broken Z-Sword, so no Elder Kai, and the events of Battle of Gods would still play out kind of the same, because remember, Bardock at this point, he's getting up there. You know, Bardock's getting near his 50s and 60s, but remember, Saiyans can fight easily until their 80s when they start aging. But Bardock is more of a leader, and he's more of a political kind of way now, because the Saiyan Empire has grown so much. So he leaves with fighting to the young guys, and also, you know, he mainly leaves the fighting because he wants the next generation to go and, you know, have fun with they fighting. Very similar to what Goku was like in the Buu saga with Goten and Trunks. He wants them to be ready. So, but if there was a major issue, he would obviously help and fight. Now, of course, Goku does turn into the Super Saiyan God. The same thing with Beerus would happen. Beerus would probably just make more trips, fighting each Saiyan. But at the same time, most of the King Saiyans and the Queen Saiyan would be on Earth because it's Bulma's birthday party, which is Vegeta's wife. So, you know, they would all meet up. Beerus would show up there, easily slap them all around. Goku gets Super Saiyan God. The fight kind of goes the same, but Goku's a lot stronger than before. So he would put up a way better fight. Of course, he's no match for Beerus, so Beerus leaves happy, as Goku was then brought to Whis' planet. As, you know, Goku does the same thing to where he like begs Whis, you know, offering him food and other items such as that. Now, Vegeta and Bardock does come as well, because Bardock wants to learn, and obviously Vegeta doesn't want Goku surpassing him, nor does he want Bardock to surpass him when he's like just caught up. So obviously Vegeta wants to go. So pretty much they would train together, and both Goku would easily learn Super Saiyan 2, and Bardock, Vegeta, and Goku would also learn Super Saiyan Blue. Now, Frieza does come back the same exact way, and he does train for 3 months, but this time, Bardock takes it personal. Remember, he wants to go have a rematch, as Frieza's his responsibility. He would go back, and then they would have an epic matchup. In my opinion, even more severe than with Goku and Frieza, with how much they hate each other. There would be a lot of insults thrown, a lot of trash talking, but Bardock would go Super Saiyan 2, and then, remember, he's way stronger than Goku was when he fought Frieza with Super Saiyan Blue. And not to mention, you have 2 other Super Saiyan Blues. Frieza's pretty much done for. Bardock it would be a pretty good fight, but Bardock would beat him. Then, the Universe 6 arc will go the same, just pretty much a lot easier. Remember, as Goku's stronger than before, and the likes of Bardock and Vegeta, who would come, who at this point would also have Super Saiyan Blue, as y'all know. Even Gohan at this point would have Super Saiyan Blue, as Bardock, Vegeta, and the other Saiyans would, you know, kind of bark at him, telling him like, hey, you gotta keep up with your training. And also too, Gohan was trained since an earlier age, you know, with a lot more Saiyans, so it'll rub off on him. So he's a bit more training hungry than he was originally. He wasn't like shrouded by Chi-Chi for all those years. So yes, Gohan would have the form as well. Now, the timeline Trunks only goes back to give him the heart medicine. As this doesn't really, now this does impact the fact that Goku's alive, but would this really impact the reason for Zamasu to really go crazy and do that stuff? Yes and no, because if you remember, Zamasu started going crazy because he started seeing that all of the, the Saiyans were bad and they were doing all this bad stuff. But if he sees that in the other universe, the Saiyans are actually doing really good, they're saving people, the universe is flourishing, I think that he would chill out. And even if, let's just say that Goku Black is alive and with Zamasu, they would have a way more difficult time, since you have Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta, Goku, Bardock, Gohan, all those guys attacking Goku Black at the same time, plus Zamasu, it would go a lot differently. So either way, that what if is for you to decide on your own, but either way, it would both turn out pretty much the same with them moving on, defeating the opponent. So the Tournament of Power would go down, and it would be a lot more smooth. Jiren would only be the only threat. Because remember, now at this point, Fasha and Taro would have Super Saiyan 4. At this point, with Bardock having it for so many years and them learning one of them, they would figure it out. Now, also Piccolo is also way stronger. They would go all the other Z fighters. So, alright, so let's just throw this out for you guys. Goku, Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta, alright, so this is all the Super Saiyan Blues. Goku, Vegeta, Bardock, Raditz would have Super Saiyan 4 at this point. Gohan would have Super Saiyan Blue. Okay? So that's 3 Super Saiyan Blues. For Super Saiyan 4, you have Fasha, Taro, Raditz. So that is 6 Saiyans, okay? 3 of them are Super Saiyan Blues, and 3 of them are Super Saiyan 4s. So, and also not to mention Piccolo's stronger. The other Z fighters are actually stronger because they're keeping up with them. The fight would be way faster. There is no Majin Buu, but, it doesn't matter at this point. The fight would be way different. So the only problem would be Jiren, as I feel like the fight between him and Goku would go the exact same. Just this time, Goku would get Ultra Instinct, very similar. His Ultra Instinct would probably be stronger because Goku's far stronger than he was before. Jiren would still beat him, and then you would also have all of the Saiyans teaming up together. So pretty much how the ending would happen is all the Saiyans would team up. Remember, you have 6 Saiyans with Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan Blues, all of them attacking Jiren at the same time. Pretty much the fight would end with Universe 7 winning, whether it's Goku defeating him with Ultra Instinct or Master Ultra Instinct, or all of the Saiyans defeating them with Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan 4. Now, the Broly arc would possibly go the same, just probably a little bit more even, because remember, Goku and Vegeta would probably still fight Broly the same way. So the fight would, pretty much that arc goes the exact same. Broly would still lose and almost die, and yeah, so the fight would go a lot differently. So same with the Moro arc would pretty much go the same, maybe a bit worse because Moro's absorbing more energy, but Bardock also knows the Yardrats, he knows all those people, he could learn the spirit control, all that stuff. The fight would pretty much end with Moro being destroyed either by Bardock or the others, or Goku turning Master Ultra Instinct, or even a fusion. Who knows? So the Granola arc is to be continued, since the Granola arc is not even done yet. So that one will be continued maybe for one day. But that is it for Bardock. I know it went by really quickly, but this was my first what if, and I can't believe it. The story would play the same, just much easier for the Z fighters, but this is pretty much where I'm going to end this what if. Thank you everybody who has supported me and keep on sending comments and liking the video and subscribing. It might seem small right now, but you taking time out of your day to send a comment saying how much you enjoyed this video and all that kind of stuff, it motivates me and pushes me more than anybody can ever imagine. So thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you all later.